Tavares, Heaven is Missing an Angel on Feel Good Radio 106.6 FM. And like I did say, we do have an interview that is with the author of Chase the Spark, Nathan Dasneves. He'll be telling us a bit more about his book. But before we even get into it, hi, how are you? What's the day been like?
Hi, good. I'm doing fine. The day has been good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good day.
it's been great.
It's been great.
I
Yeah.
mean, we always say that the middle of the week is where we're trying to find our balance and see what exactly is going on. Has it been that for you? Are you trying to figure out what's going on as the week? Amazing.
I think I'm usually happy that it's close to Friday. Usually when it's Wednesday, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, the week is over.
Quarter to Friday.
Yeah, it's close to Friday.
Right, so you are the author of Chase the Spark, an
Yeah.
incredible book from what I have heard as well. Seems like a book really on what I am getting from the title is
Yeah.
chasing something, something amazing. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm wrong, you can correct me, of course.
Exactly, you're right. You're on
Yeah.
the right track.
We're chasing something. So do you think you can give us a brief overview on your book and what inspired you to write it?
Yeah. So the book Chase the Spark is mainly investigating or sort of depicting the anatomy of ideas,
Mhm.
from the inception all the way up to the finished stage.
Yeah.
Because I think if you reverse engineer every single thing that we're using currently, everything that we know where it comes from, except nature and everything,
Mhm.
it's usually created by people. And obviously the very, very inception phase of that whole creation journey starts with a simple thought and an idea that that person had.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of inspired me to look at it from the angle that most of what we want to create or what we wish to create, comes from within us, but not like in a weird way, but actually literally comes from within us. Because everything that you wish to create, it has to start with an idea at some point. And the difference is just having the audacity to pursue that idea, just give that idea a chance and see where it takes you to.
So more like a self-help. That's what I'm getting from this as
Yeah,
well.
I think it's in the self-help category.
I love
Yeah.
that you said, you just need to bring something out of yourself, which sort of implies that you need to bring this thing to life,
Yeah.
which a lot of people really struggle to do. So are there specific themes or messages that you aim to convey through this book, maybe?
Yeah, I think the main central theme is that most of what we do is inspired, or it's sort of like generated through emotions.
Yeah.
I think the amount of emotion you have in action that you're trying to do, it sort of determines the sort of like the magnitude of the success of that action that you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because like if you take, for example, we usually see people that like Elon Musk, people that actually have succeeded in what they do. Like if you trace their story, you would see that they were working like ungodly amounts of hours and everything like that. People will usually say that's because they were super disciplined in the thing that they were doing.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, if you look back, it's almost like the emotion that they had in that specific thing was just so big that they actually wanted to sleep late and do that stuff. It's not like they forced themselves to do it. It's almost like the emotion takes over of you, and if you're blessed to have an emotion, so they call it an obsession with the thing that you want to do. And I think that that's the differentiator between people that actually succeed in the stuff that they're doing and people that tries very hard to do a specific thing. I think if you can just find the sort of like right emotion towards the thing that you're doing, that's why I say chase the spark, because whenever the inspiration for an idea comes, it comes with so much emotion. You find the person is extremely excited, extremely positive, and I think you should chase it as quick as possible, because that emotion obviously dies out, because that's what happens with emotions. They fluctuate. So if you capitalize as much as you can when that emotion is high, when it goes away, you would still have a lot of miles down the road that you can actually, even if it's you're not enthused about the thing, you can actually just finish it.
Finish it off. It reminded me so much of how once you've decided something and the emotion takes over, you really become centered around this thing, and it's your life throughout. Also took me back to a book I'm currently reading. I always say I'm a lazy reader. It takes me quite some time to get through something, but I've made peace with it. But the book I'm reading is closely in with the religion as well as spirituality, and how you can have power over your mind in the long run. Tell us about the main characters in your book, or the concepts that you have. Are they based on, real people? I know it's based on a real experience, but do we find characters in there
Yeah, there's a lot of characters. I think for the most part, it's based off of stories of actual real people.
Mm.
You know, people that I tried to investigate the lives of actual people that have succeeded in the things that they're doing.
Mm.
And I think the weird sort of like common angle that I find, it's like most of the time when you look at these people, you know, that have succeeded in, you know, whatever, like you know, the inventor of the car, the inventor of all these crazy stuff, you know, it seems as though these people were super, you know, like just gifted in some way, you know, in comparison to us. But for the majority of the time, you're just surprised that most of those people are actually just normal human beings, you know. And like there was this story of I think it's Laszlo or something. I'm not sure if his name is right, but he was sort of like I think he was a psychologist. He wanted to prove that most of what we do is directly proportionate to, you know, ourselves. It's not that we innately gifted with certain ideas, but obviously I think there's a balance somewhere. But he wanted to prove that most of what we do is because we made a decision to do it. So what his experiment was, you know, so he was like, when he gets children, he will force them to learn chess, you know, just to prove that, you know, I forced them. They were not created with the gift to play chess. So I think he had 3 daughters. So at the age of about, I think one was 8, one was 4, all those 3 kids became like world-class chess players, you know, just off of their dad forcing them to play from a very young age. So I think you can kind of find the balance in that, even though we, you know, born with gifts, if you actually just put in the work in the specific thing you want to do, you can, you know, become successful in that specific area.
It does become a reality.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's a lot of research that went into this, which
Definitely.
I really like. That we know it's quality that we'll be receiving, and which is what we look for when we're reading any book. I mean, writing a book in itself, I always think, because I struggle to put the words on the paper, right? Like I said earlier off air.
Enjoy talking.
That would be really challenging for me. So what is the most challenging part of writing, or was the most challenging part of writing this book, and how did you try to overcome it?
Yeah, the research actually, funny enough, was the most challenging thing, because I don't like, I feel like it hampers the creative flow of things. You know, it's almost like if you playing music in a car and someone keeps putting the pause button and explaining the music to you. It's like either you just stop the music or let it play, finish, you know. So the thing is, with research, it has that same effect where you want to write, but then you need to research and then research and write. So I think the workaround to it was I would research beforehand. Like I'll know what I'd want to write today, for instance, and I'll do the research beforehand. It might take there could be weeks where you're just researching, and then once you have all those information, then you dedicated time to write. So you would write based on the knowledge that you have. So I think that has sort of that was a workaround. So I divide time in research time and writing time.
Okay. Basically. So with writing process, I also just imagine that you're going through many things. At some point, you probably said, because you're experiencing life as you write, right? So as you're writing, was there a specific scene within the book, a chapter that is especially meaningful to you, and if so, why?
Yeah, the chapter that was meaningful to me was because I divided. So what the book starts with, section 1. Let's say section 1 has a few things in there, and then section 2 is like it's like 7 steps towards like, you know, the commonalities between all those different people, like take action and all those things. So I think one of the steps was show your work, basically. And for me, I think for the most part, like creative people are mostly introverted, and you spend
to
a
be
lot
yourself.
of time, you spend a lot of time in your work, and you want to be humble. You know, you want to keep everything that you've been doing to yourself. But I think that chapter that you need to show your work, because that's the purpose of you having the gift. Let's say that's the purpose of you having the thing that you're doing, is to eventually show your work. Because it's like if you have a lamp, you wouldn't put it underneath the table. You know? The purpose of the lamp is to illuminate the entire room and, you know, everybody around you. You know, and I've also seen it with I think like that's the whole idea of living in like a society and with friends, because whenever let's say you find a funny meme or something, you wouldn't just laugh and then keep it to yourself. You would share it. You know, I have a friend that always shares, you know, funny memes, but that's because the whole purpose of it being funny, it's like, okay, let me show it to my friends. You know? So if you creating something, you know, whether it's a book or whatever, it's something specific, you know, it's not that you boasting in some way. It might feel like that with, you know, a lot of conservative people, but I think it's like just acknowledging that the whole purpose of the thing that you're building is to share it with people, and then that shared part of it was so personal to me in that sense.
Beautifully said. What do you hope your readers take away from the book after reading it? I know it's a lot more on, of course, realizing your potential and how far you could get in life and all of these beautiful things. But is there anything in particular you'd want the readers to take away?
I think I'd want them to understand that I think that the purpose of humans, and there's obviously a lot of, but if you want to be a little bit reductionist, is that we sort of designed to create, you know. That's why I say chase. It's not something that you do once and then like, oh,
it's
you have
constant,
you know, you have this perfect life. It's something that you have to keep pursuing because it's almost like the motor that keeps us alive. I think so. So I'm a Christian, so I believe that God created us. So it says that He designed us in His image. So if the first thing He did was create the world that we live in, you know, and then He said we made in His image. So I think we also designed to create, you know. And it feels like if you don't, that's why a lot of people seem to get depressed and seem to be turning around the mountain most of the times, because your body's kind of telling you need a goal and you need to work towards that goal. Even if you attain it, there's obviously another goal. People usually say that having a goal and attaining it doesn't satisfy you because you always want to chase another thing. I think that's the whole purpose. It's like having something, like achieving it, having something, achieving it. And that's the whole point of this civilized society we live in now. It's like everything we used started with an idea, someone just saying, let me, you know, it starts as a insignificant thought, but then if you give it some time and if you give it some effort and, you know, don't discriminate and just try and see what happens, you know, and I think that's the whole beauty of it. Yeah.
Awesome stuff, truly great. Is there anything that you probably want aspiring writers or authors to know, especially those who really want to write within the sphere of self-help books, how to really go about it, and what are things that you shouldn't really listen to because, I mean, the world has so much to say about everything. But is there something in particular you'd like to say to a young boy listening there who really aspires to write a book?
Yeah, I think a lot of books could probably be summarized as just do the thing. You know? But obviously it would be very short books. But I think it's really just write, you know, just write. That's the whole thing. Just write, and as more as you do it, you know, that's when you learn the things that you want to research before you write them. You know, because all those people that are giving you advice, they also just started doing the thing. You know, and while doing the thing, they notice, oh, you know, maybe I don't need a publisher, maybe I can just self-publish and see how it goes, stuff like that. But you just need to do the thing, and then, you know, set a goal. I think also that's one of a goal, I mean, like a timeline, like by the end of June, I want to have my first book. You know, it doesn't have to be the perfect book, but you just need to have a book because you're a writer. If you say you're a writer, that means you should have a book. If you say you're, you know, like a content creator, but there's no content that you have, you know, it's kind of weird. You know, so whatever you claim to be, I think you need to have things that sort of validate the thing that you're doing, but it doesn't have to be perfect, because just start with something and then keep building on that thing, I would say.
I love it.